station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Grizz Biz, my 2 cents.
I hope my daughter grow as handsome as me. Either way, I bury bands under trees. She won't never need a nigga to eat. I'ma be inside my grave, not admitting defeat. The only L I took was living with Leech. Really, I be looking down on y'all like I'm giving a speech. Why lie? I ain't living in peace. A good lot of ladies was made for the streets. I learned that when bruh mama agreed to keep it discreet. Another reason not to trust no soul. There's hella cap in y'all anatomy. Won't trust no hoe. I'll be my dick until it's mad at me. Everywhere I go, I wanna go back home and hit y'all niggas with the pen like Elijah Wood in the faculty. These V's and they just as pretty. Your bitch knees weak and her head is shitty. The aftermath was like MM50. Patiently waiting for dudes to hit me, but niggas is hoes and sense.
I pray my daughters both as players as me. I pray to God that's who my grandma want my savior to be. Need paper to make paper. I have a bad day, get great later. Always taught to show love, so we thank haters. In real life, I hate neighbors. I need 808 acres. I appreciate, but I hate favors. Young bad chaser, relay racer. Lap y'all twice a day. Broke boy, but my children okay. Got a bad little thing, fuck her good, but I don't treat her like a queen. She asks why, cause she ain't. She ain't, why would I lie? She still come by, paint her face, take blame for a heartbreak. I don't give a fuck, so I ain't got nothing to say. Touche, but a smooth skin, pretty nigga like me. Gold tooth when I smile subtle, but your bitch still hype me. Jiggy fuck your baby mama, give a fuck you don't like me.
let's go.
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Grizz Biz, my 2 cents.
Woo-wee. Wednesday to Wednesday. We back at it. We is back at it. But it wasn't Wednesday to Wednesday, was it? It was Wednesday to Wednesday to Friday to Wednesday. Friday to Wednesday. We're going to get into that.
Go.
Well, as usual, seats empty. It could have been full. I don't know, man. I got a lot going on over here, man. But shout out to our girls, man. Let's give Miss Nicola a round of applause. Miss Willis. Miss Ivory Mitchell. Let's give Ivory. Ivory says, what's happening? What's up? I'll keep Ivory in your thoughts and prayers. They doing their thing for real. Let's give, I don't see Tyann. Let's give Tyann, Capri, Soldier Girl, whole thing. Then we got Miss Nikki Baby. Don't get it twisted. You understand me? Do not get it twisted. It's Nikki Baby. And today we got our newest co-host joining us. And I'm excited about her joining the crew because she is a fact checker and she is on top of her game when it comes to what's going on in the world and what's going on everywhere for real. You will not catch this young lady sleeping at all, and she will quickly drop you some game to knock your head up, wake your head up. You understand me? So I'm really excited to have her on the show because conspiracy theories, we gonna tackle out. She gonna tackle all that. We just gonna give her the floor. You know what I'm talking about? Because they already called me that Black Alex Jones. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, but ladies and gentlemen, see what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Nadia Corlieon a round of applause for joining us today. The newest member of the team. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? I got something special going on over. We got something special going over here at GRIZZBIZMY2SENSE. You understand me? But before we go any further, y'all, let's go ahead and get into our sponsors because that's the whole name of the game, and we appreciate our sponsors that sponsor us right now, but we're trying to go to that national level and get them there too. First up is Goody's Barbecue. I always tell you, man, if you go in there and say my 2 cents, you get a 10% discount on anything that you order. So go on down to 1440 Hamilton Avenue, Goody's Barbecue. I know you've been seeing the pictures. I know you've been seeing the layout of the food, man. This guy's on a whole nother level. And not just with barbecue, as far as networking and business, too. Let's give Slab a round of applause, man, because I try and network with people who are about doing business with each other. You know what I'm saying? So we appreciate that. Like I said, go on down to Goody's Barbecue and pick up some barbecue and say my 2 cents and receive 10% discount on your order. Next up, we got Jarman Home Solutions. Man, these guys are electrical geniuses, man. It's family owned, and they can do anything with electrical, wiring, garage, panels, changing lights. The big thing now is the electric car outlets. I know y'all been seeing the post about them. So go on over there, call them, email them. Estimates at jarmanhomesolutionsllc.com. Get your estimate, and you too can receive a discount on any service that you choose by saying, hey, my guy said my 2 cents, and you get 10% discount on any service. You know what I'm talking about? Let's give Jarman Home Solutions a round of applause. And you know I'm excited about Dank Nation, right? You see I got my Dank Nation hat on, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's on the ballot for November. November's coming close. I'll be 55 this year coming up. You understand me? So we're going to be right in the heart of the COVID part 2. I'm saying it. I said the C word, damn it. It is what it is. So that's coming. Nadia, we're going to get on that, but we ain't going to stay on that too long. Right now, go ahead and check out www.danknation.co and go get you some apparel. We got some strands going on. We got a lot going on. If you are a black or brown person and you are not on top of the marijuana game on how to get involved on the legal side of it, then you are really sleeping. This is huge. There are grow spots that you have no clue. I'm going to give you a clue that are right under your nose right now that are being built to be grow houses. I ain't going to give you no hints. But it's a lot. And shout out to our black farmers. You know what I'm saying? The black farmers are doing their thing too. Everybody's gearing up for it. So in the meantime, between time, go to www.danknation.co and get you some apparel, get you some custom stuff too. Let's give Dank Nation a round of applause. Then we got Polished Barbershop, G14 classified products. That's your hair fibers, that's your air brushes, that's your brushes, that's your guards, clippers, all of it. Go to polishedbarbershop.com and pick you up some G14. This is especially for the barbers around town, man. If you want to put the man weave on point, you know what I'm saying, you go ahead and get these products, man. He's the first barber I seen doing it, and I too was a product. So you can go there, barbershop.com, and see my transformation. Yep, I said it. Go on there. Let's give G14 a round of applause. Last but not least, we got Bagman. Everything's about this right here. So go on and get your bags, man. It might as well go ahead and say it. Go and get your custom bags for your marijuana. Stand out in the crowd with all this about to take place, man. It's going to be so much hybrid, so many dispensaries in Ohio and Cincinnati. Wow. That sounds crazy, don't it? And it'd be recreational. Wow. So it's going to be a lot of people over here getting high. It's going to be a whole lot of good quality product. So if you need a bag, go on to Bagman. You too can say my 2 cents and receive 10% off on any purchase of bags. And he is right down there on Colerain and Hopple, right behind Wendy's. The hours are 11 to 7, Monday through Friday. Appointment only on Saturday and Sundays. And let's give Bagman a round of applause. That's what's up. Yes, sir. We need some sponsors that's going to have me some goodies and some drinks. Not the barbecue. I can't eat barbecue on here. I'm talking about snacks, something, finger food, chicken wings, something. You know, Drew got a family upstairs. We could use some chicken wings. Let's call out there for chicken wings. But anyway, he like that. But anyway, let's talk Friday. I got Nicola on here, man. Friday, we got to give Al Catone, Sean Laws, Spice One, OTR Click. Man, let's give them a round of applause, man. That was dope. That was dope, man. To have interviewed him and then to be set up right there to do the podcast. We're going to part 2, we're gonna be a little bit more better prepared because one we couldn't hear when I played the video back, the live feed on YouTube. We couldn't hear me and Nicole. I said Nicole again, didn't I? Miss Nikki Baby, excuse me. Excuse me. I did not want to hear this later on. So
Yep. I was about to check you, but you checked yourself. So thank you.
yes.
Here he
You
go.
said it
Here he
twice.
go.
Yes, Lord help me. Lord help me. Right. But anyway, Miss Nikki Baby and myself, and then Tyann Capri. Let's give Tyann Capri a round of applause too. We had a good time, man. We had a good time. Dude is so genuine. The food was good. They have brothers outside, hamburgers, and inside they had chefs bringing in green beans, macaroni, and cheese. You'd have thought you was at daggone smorgasbord. So definitely,
Right.
James Brown, the legendary Fresh, held it down, man. He was playing so many cuts, man. It's ridiculous. We couldn't do nothing but jam. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yep.
DJ Sean Solomon, man, with that sound system, feel the bass. Boy, dropped that bass. And then he had the nerve to come over there with the little pad, you know what I'm talking about? Moving the numbers and so forth, making it jump and do what it do. But anyway, we had a good time. And next series, we're going to be on that too. Hopefully he's bringing either the Too Short or Joe Torre. Alcatone always got something up his sleeve positive. So it's definitely going down. And this is something you don't want to be bringing the R&B into. So let's give him a round of applause for keeping it 100. Oh, and I'm going to get to you. But I got to give Busy One Radio. They props and stuff too. I got some film of them that I'm chopping up, man. They doing their thing and then reached out to us, man. And you know what I'm saying? They got some big things popping over there. Barry got that hip hop day award. You know what I'm saying? So every day of that day, it's gonna be Barry's Day Hip Hop Award Day. Let's give him a round of applause for that. There's so much stuff going on. But anyway, let's get back to the task at hand here. I put up a post about COs. And I done already told you my story, CO. Hey, Nadia, have you got a CO story? Have you been to jail?
Unfortunately, I never made it upstairs, but I did make it to the booking area.
Oh, well, shit, the booking there is just as bad, so I understand.
But no,
Okay, phew.
I ain't doing for all of that. I can't do that.
I didn't have no more for me. Lord have mercy. Miss Nikki Baby, how about you?
Yeah, I've been in jail as well.
Yeah, I could tell. I just say that I could tell you done
Like
you done rough.
let's like I didn't even do nothing. No, all of
Let's
my
see your
stuff,
knuckles.
every time I done got in trouble is not because of me. So
Let's
I'm
see
a
your
good
knuckles.
girl.
Let's see your knuckles.
Stuff.
Your knuckles? What your knuckles look
No,
like?
they clean. I got girl hands.
You got girl hands? I thought you might have had,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, knots on your stuff. Yeah. You act like it. Going to
I'm a
jail.
lover.
I-
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Okay.
I'm a lover, not
All
a
right.
fighter.
All
But
right.
I have to.
All right. Did you have any CO stories?
No, I didn't. I mean, actually, nope. I don't see.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Normally you hear when brothers get out of jail, they always talking about the COs ain't shit. They don't do this, this, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And then you got the COs that, you know what I'm saying, make shit happen. It ain't nothing to be hidden about. You see it on TV. You done seen it on the news where these COs get caught up and have love affairs and all types of other stuff. So it goes on, and it
Go down. It
and
go down.
it goes
It
down in the
definitely goes
correctional
down.
facility. You know, we a lot of talk about private facilities and celebrities and so many people attached to it. So today's guest, Mr. Donovan Edwards. Let's give Mr. Donovan Edwards a round of applause. He's been in the CEO game, been in the Army, federal, all types of stuff. So what drew me to him is I know family's brother, Seven Hills, but some of his comments and so forth and opinions on some of the things that's happening in the world kind of shocked me. And I don't want to say Republican, but I want to say right and wrong. So I don't want to attach it to something like that because I'm like, well, and it wasn't biased. So when I found out he was a CO, I was kind of curious, like, really? So let's start from the beginning, man. When did you start doing that? What made you want to do that?
I tell you what really started it. It was when I was about 16 in Seven Hills, 15. It was about 15, 16. And I remember because I'm graduating a year after that, and we were unloading some mulch bags that was getting paid on the side because I worked there, but I was also getting paid on the side because we had to unload these mulch bags. And so I called my brother and a couple other guys. Hey man, y'all want to make $50? A whole semi. But make a long story short, this cop pulls up, and he was like, "Hey, what y'all up to?" And I was like, "Nothing, just unloading these mulch bags." He said, "Oh wow, how much y'all getting?" We told him. He said, "Man, they getting a hell of a deal." And he just chopped it up regular. And he was like, "Man, if you ever want to, we do ride arounds. You can come with us." And I'm 16, 7, going graduating a year, blah 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 blah. I go hang out with y'all, for a couple of days. You couldn't tell me, sports was summertime. We didn't go through the sports thing the whole summer. We just went for, sports didn't start back up to a couple of weeks before. So the whole summers, that we would be off, hang out, do whatever, make some money. But this guy, and he really, had a couple of teenagers, like 10 or 15, that went out and did all these ride arounds and just, showed us this, showed. I wasn't too interested after that. And then
let me stop you. So I wanted to ask you, like, I remember that time, those times in Seven Hills, and right. I'm like, we didn't fool with the police. So no. What made you say jump in the car? I'm baffled. Listening to you, like, damn, y'all niggas stayed on the corner.
7 Hills Drive.
On the drive. You get to walk past y'all. I like, hey, Donovan, you over here blowing my mind right now, because you know how we the Springfield Township,
right. Hamilton County.
Yeah.
But let me tell you because my younger brother, he took off running.
Right.
My boys, God rest his soul, Quincy Smith, Lamont Smith, they was
right.
They were there, and hell no. I was never fearless because we grew up in West Virginia too.
Okay. All right.
And so it was a whole different. When I was growing up, we didn't have that beef with the police as much as we would have a beef with where not to go and where to go. Right. But when you get to Cincinnati, you see the beef a little bit more. But we wasn't as typical as the Seven Hills kids that had the bad confrontations right off the bat.
Right.
But I knew for one thing is he said that he'd show us around. We get free meals and blah, McDonald's and that shit. And I was like, oh, McDonald's, and
my
gosh, they gonna get us got me one way or the other,
That's how they got the people take that jab too. I got a free meal, a McDonald's meal if you want to take the COVID jab. I'm gonna jab you.
I used to have dudes snitch over a pack of ramen, so.
Oh.
But anyway,
please help me.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I'm gonna be 100%. Any question that unless it's some kind of relation to national security and things like that, or I will tell you and I will answer. And I have never done that before. There's some things I won't even discuss. Because it just draws in a lot of oohs and ahs. But in the field, the business I was in, because I consider it a business versus a complete service. Service and a business has two different, instructions. But going back to it, then make a long story short, this same sheriff, when I was about to I was on a D average. 1.495 is what I graduated with. So, but right before that, he introduced me to this recruiter. Was that? He said,
Nothing. I be having
He talking
fun.
shit.
Go ahead. I'm talking shit. But anyway, go ahead.
he
You know how we do.
introduced me to this Hispanic dude. He was a recruiter. And people don't know this. I mean, I really had some bad grades. And Mr. Epplin was the principal. And he called me in the office because I stayed in the office. He said, listen, what can I get you to do to get back into a sport or something for you to focus? I said, I don't mess with none of these sports. I say, I play tennis. I said, when I go home to West Virginia, in the inner city, Billie Jean King sponsored black tennis.
Wow.
And so people didn't realize, yeah, Billie Jean King and Domino's Pizza gave us.
Let's give that a round of applause. Who would have thunk that? Who would have thunk it?
She bought our rackets.
Tennis. This nigga said tennis. I don't play
Yeah.
football. Man, I'm gonna go
You know
play
what?
tennis.
I would play football and I could not hoop right. I was good for pick him up, but this black tennis program in West Virginia, so when we came back, he said, we don't have no tennis here. I said, okay.
Right.
He said, you get 300 signatures and a coach and we'll do it your senior year.
Wow.
I got 300 signatures, and Mr. Markle, Shannon Markle, the wrestling coach, said, I don't know shit about tennis, but I'll sit up there while y'all do it.
Let's give that a round of applause. That's the type of opportunities and things that people don't capitalize on, and it's commendable that you did.
And it was like 3 other black dudes on the team, Quincy something and a couple other guys. And I never had a ride, so another guy, this white dude I knew, would always pick us up back and forth. And he just, he was like, man, that's the only cats we can play with. But make a long story short, met a recruiter who used to come out there for his PT. And he was like, hey, you want to come check out, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I mean, shit, I ain't got nothing else. He said, we're taking McDonald's for lunch. I said, damn, I guess that's the coupon. So
That's the golden ticket,
that's
McDonald's.
the golden ticket.
You know what I'm saying? Them golden arches get everybody.
Get everybody. So anyway, make it even shorter than that. He took us out, me and a couple guys. He said, I'm gonna take you to the shooting range if you want to go Saturday. And I'm from West Virginia, so I know a lot about, which gun is this. And we had to assemble a gun and all this, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And he was like, man, let me tell you, you really blah, 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 blah. So the first thing they did, let's take an ASVAB test. Now, I'm sitting on a damn near good D average, so they had different expectations, but I scored pretty high. And if you look at a lot of black men will score high on the ASVAB because it's more of a worldview than it is, like just the United States view. And so the top percent people get to choose a little bit better. So I chose military police. I see police, they show me all these videos and this, that, and the other. And, I knew a couple black officers that was, in West Virginia, places like that. And I'm like, that's an honorable job. It's going to be good in the Army, boo, boo, boo. And I went to basic training. Then after basic training, I went to MP school, and that was actually harder. 9-10 weeks. It was grueling. It really was, because they want you to know everything, and then they want you to know everything physically and mentally while you remain, ready and focused for combat. Because you got 2 roles. You can get shot in the back of the head by your own soldiers because they're mad at you because you had to make an arrest in the field. And so, you got both these things coming at you. So while I was in the Army, I went to Fort Carson by accident. Up until that day, I had the largest drug seizure in Fort Carson history by accident. Pulled over a guy at one of the gates. He started acting up, reached for something, and, we had him down. But it was a big drug. He made the wrong turn on the street. So I got my choice of overseas assignment from that. So I took the overseas assignment to Germany. When I got to Germany, I was a military police in Frankfurt, Germany. And that's like New York to Germany, And also I did security protection for the headquarters general, for the 5th Corps headquarters general. So you would rotate, train a week, security for a week, patrol for a week. So we worked the club districts. You got all this stuff going on. And training constantly. You're always constantly training as a military police versus civilian police. And it makes a big difference in the long run of how you train. If you're not training, situations going to make you use instinct that you shouldn't be using. You should be using your training. But after I went to POW school for a little bit, prisoner of war training school. To work prison camps. And then all of a sudden, boom, the Gulf War breaks out. So they must have knew something was going to happen.
What you mean they must have knew something was happening? We're going to get to the conspiracy part of the whole goddamn thing. And I've been paying attention and I listened, and you switched up your verbiage.
Which one did I go from?
What?
He went to the how they knew something was, that was a flag for me. They knew something was going to happen.
Well, they had to, because in order for you to move 300-some thousand troops and send so many thousands before that, a year before, to I'm gonna make you specialized in this, and we're gonna specialize this person's in these, and next thing you know, I'm going to generator school, even though I don't know a damn thing about it. And they was like, oh, you probably never use it other than for some light. And, and then 6 months later, we was in the Gulf, and I was a military police, but you always have a second job. And mine was, we were what they, we were the first, we took the first POWs of the Gulf, me and my crew. And the first POWs get hell. They go through hell to squeeze as much information out of them as you can.
Damn, is waterboarding for real?
Oh yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah."
Sometimes.
Oh yeah. See how his voice went?
Ice water on your genitals and hot water. It may feel like it's gonna fall off.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's other things.
It sounds like you had a lot of training. Like it sounds like from the story from the beginning. Like, okay, when did you start? Like getting into from when the police picked you up, not picked you up like that, but just offered the ride arounds. Like what year was that? You said you was 15,
That was
16?
about 1986, 87.
Oh, okay. We talk. Okay, in the 80s. Okay.
I'm old as hell, ain't you?
I'm trying to see where I was fit in around that time. Then you went to a lot of different schooling. You seem like you had like a lot of different types of training. It went from one training to the next training before you actually went to the Gulf. They threw you out there?
No, I worked in a place called Fort Carson, Colorado. So I was a military police there first. So after you do your military police school, you get assigned a location.
Yeah, the spot. Okay.
And they sent me to Fort Carson, Colorado. I was there probably one. Matter of fact, I met the first night, got in a lot of trouble because I was in a car. I didn't know I was in a bar first night. Wasn't Angelo Walker was in the bar, Seven Hills.
Let's give Angelo Walker a round of applause. Y'all don't know Angelo Walker, but that's one of the Seven Hill crews.
To me, that's like a bigger brother because he graduated with my brother and them, but they still could rock us. They could hit us or whatever they wanted to, right. And Lowe could outrun anybody. But he was like, you wouldn't believe this, Dan Mente in here too.
What?
And I'm like, what? And so he's Seven Hills.
Yeah.
And he graduated with y'all, so I'm like, wow. So long story short, we got pulled over by the police. Dan Mente was already gone because, he wasn't hanging with black dudes.
No, he was not.
So me and Angelo got pulled over. Make a long story short, the next day, the lieutenant and everybody shows up. Who are you to be coming out of training? I wasn't even driving. I was just in the car. I didn't even drink. I didn't start drinking until a year after that. So I knew something was kind of phony about him, but nothing was going on. So after I got to Fort Carson, the platoon I was in, the first time they put me in a platoon was all white guys.
Mm.
I've never, just my first duty station. But then I'm looking at other squad or other platoons, and they got 2 or 3 black guys in each one. Platoons leader, they got a squad leader, they got platoon sergeants. They have different people, and we had a black first sergeant. And I'm looking about within probably 2 days I was there, they were calling me in the first sergeant's office, accused me of stealing $10.
What?
And I was like, $10, and they were like, did you? I said, well, listen, I said, the dude came out of the field and he used a whole half a box of soap powder. I said, I figured that was the $10 he left there. I said, because there's only, a quarter of it even left. And I said, it was on my dresser. It was underneath the edge of my box. And then I figured, oh, he gave me the okie doke. But then I said to him, I said, let me just tell you, I have no reason to steal because when I was in training, I cut hair on the side, but I also kept every dime I made because I grew up without money. So I pulled it out of my pocket and they looked at me like I just robbed a bank. I said, this is every dime I made, blah, blah, blah. And on the side, I said, well, I'm going to use this $10. And that's when they took me and moved me to a black platoon that had a black platoon sergeant.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, they did. They put me in and he took me and opened up my first bank account. And these were all military police. Wow. So there's only a handful at the time, so. But this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was
Okay, so
go ahead. Right.
we're gonna go back way to the beginning when Grizz was saying how, the black community, we don't trust the police. So with that being said, you're growing up and you're continuing this journey through, doing the military and everything and so on and so forth. How did your community or the people around you did they show you love, or did they shun away from you because they didn't trust? Because we do have a big trust factor with that. Because your story, it sounded like a Get Out movie, but you got a good ending. So
I got a good ending, great ending.
Right.
Let me tell you how. My uncle, rest his soul, was one of the first black police officers in the city of Charleston, West Virginia. He used to guard Elvis. He guarded kids, all these people when he was off. We were able to go to them concerts. And when he was on force and they brought him on, they brought on like 8 or 9 other black officers. This is in the 60s. And so 2 of my uncles integrated the police department and one integrated the pools. He jumped butt naked in the public pools and they had to empty it and all that shit. But that's what they did. So I always looked up to he was our black Santa Claus. He was our, everything, take you to the wood. Let me show y'all how to. So he had a good honorable position. And my uncle or my grandfather on my mother's side, he was a security officer for Union Carbide. So he was always into that and stay out of trouble and keep your head. So there was no, I'm going to go out and act up. And most kids knew that if y'all act up, your mother's going, she's going to decapitate you. And
exactly.
I didn't drink alcohol till I got overseas because I was scared she would show up in Colorado like she had away there or something, So it wasn't a matter of me fearing because I never did really fear anybody. It just didn't. I never listened to what everybody. Here's this black dude out here playing tennis. But nobody disrespected us, because we ain't never seen no playing tennis.
My mom was one of those mamas too. That was when Serena and Venus came out, she went and bought tennis rackets. But we good for running, we good for dodging things. But I don't know, like the tennis thing.
Back then though, the only real people I liked was Arthur Ashe, and I liked Billie Jean King. And then to find out she took over this sponsorship, and nobody knew about it. She was buying inner city kids in Philly and Charleston and all these places, rackets and setting up tournaments so we didn't have to pay a dime for them tournaments, and they paid the coaches and everything, and she paid for it all. So what I'm saying is that we wasn't, we still listen to Run DMC, the Fat Boys, and this. We also listen to heavy metal stuff. And when you in Seven Hills, and they looking at us, listening to heavy metal, they thought, hey, these cats are crazy, but that's just who we were. We didn't have to fit ourselves into that complete mold to just not be accepted. I mean, we went to Parham first. I don't know if many of y'all know, but that was an elementary school in downtown Cincinnati.
Hold on, let me stop you right there. That is my family school. That Texas that we talking about. My family started Parham Elementary. That's my family. Yeah, that's my family. My family was educators. Let's give my family a round of applause. We have 152 acres in Texas, and handling our business right now. But my great grandmother, yeah, the whole family, they started Fisk University, helped start Fisk University. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's crazy because I went from we go from a white school, predominantly white school in West Virginia, probably had 20% black kids,
right,
to Parham,
right.
And hear these black kids with these country ass twangs, blah, blah, till they put hands on you the first time. And after that, hell, it was over with. And then I went to CAPE, Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education, CAPE, back in the day when Carlos Snow and all them cats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then my mother thought I was having some grades issues, so she put me in St. Gabriel's or St. Mark's, but I'm sorry, but they kicked me out after 6 months. I wasn't into all the, the water, and I always used to play around like class clown. So imagine me in a Catholic school. So. Right. Then we ended up going to Seven Hills. I went to Frost, and boom, everything from them went on straight through Frost. I went to Green Hills. I'm sorry. Went to Green Hills and Forest Park I skipped the Mount Healthy junior highs. I went to Green Hills and Forest Park.
Yeah, because if you'd have went to South or North like we did junior high, you'd have got a ghetto card. No, I'm just playing.
Forest Park was a better school, so I got some great
bullshit.
But
Ooh,
I believe you grew up in the era I grew up, and I grew up there also. So, officer, the sergeant, what's his ethnicity?
He was a white dude.
Okay, because back then they was really very against the color back then. I mean, we had people poisoning us back then.
But this guy lived across the street from us in Seven Hills, and he had two sons that, they grew up where we grew up. So it was easy to say when he came up, what y'all doing, and we was like, blah, blah, blah. But, this is the same officer that I remember when my mother was whooping my ass one day and get in the house. And he said, let me close the door behind you, Miss Edwards, so there wasn't nobody else here. So he was always, and when he came up and he said, man, just come on, blah, blah, blah. It never feared us because in West Virginia, we grew up where blacks in this inner city of West Virginia, you don't see too much in the inner city. I'm sorry, Charleston, West Virginia. Where we grew up is like brownstones types, and they was black and white. Nobody, but we was all broke. So it didn't really. You didn't even hear about race.
That's your version of Price Hill.
I'm sorry.
That's your version of Price Hill.
Listen, I wouldn't go down there right now with whatever I got. But I hear it's nicer there somewhere.
That's what I'm
saying. But I'm bougie now. But so. It just, to see where the interest came from, when I look at my uncle and I looked at, I don't know if y'all, what is his name? Ivan Lee. He was a football player in Minnesota. His mother was the first black female in Charleston Police Department, actually in the state of West Virginia. And we knew her because, she went to the same church as my grandmother and all that. So and they was in church in their uniforms just like, you know, anybody. So we had there were a lot of blacks that got hired during the 60s in West Virginia. So a lot of them was related to a lot of the families. So, and when I came out of the Army, well, I go back. I was in Fort Carson, and after about a year in Fort Carson, there was a first sergeant. We had a black first sergeant, and we called him Top. And you know, he was always called Top. You know, he said, "I'm gonna put you in this platoon with Sergeant Jet." Sergeant Jet was a black sergeant. He was my platoon sergeant, and we had a black platoon leader. I never knew there was any blacks and MPs. You know. So I had a black lieutenant, a black squad leader, a black platoon sergeant, and they were all, you know, law enforcement, all military. And they didn't act like sellouts, because you had some of them right off the bat, you know who they were. You knew who they were because the drill sergeants would kind of tell you who they were. They would, you know, we had black drill sergeants. A lot of the black drill sergeants you'll see in the Army were black. For the one they called cadence on rhythm, but also because, you know, there was no fear factor involved. But I had a black platoon sergeant and a black platoon leader in basic training, and a senior first class was black. So we had a lot of black MPs that, you know, and we had a lot of, you knew if you seen one, you knew who he was or who she was right off the bat. We know who you are, you know, and so you stood out. But we get tested. You get tested so much because one, you got a rank that may only be the lowest two ranks in the Army, you know, but you have the authority of the commanding general of the base. So you would have to always correct some white colonel or colonel's wife, mostly, to remind them that you have a position of authority, not a position of rank.
Ooh,
I never had
they ain't like
problem.
that. How many Karens you run across?
Man, let me tell you how many times I got turned in. But the one thing I did do when I got to the Army is I started, you know, that was 88, 89. I was big. I never owned a car. The only car I ever owned drove was one I ran into a Chinese restaurant that I was working at. It was my mama's car. But anyway.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Look, ran right into it, trying to be pretty.
Let me ask you something right quick.
Yes.
I don't mean to cut you off. Let me ask you. With your extensive background and your dealings with white folks, and being in the Army and so forth, what is your take on today's worldly matters, and especially the U.S. government right now, man? With all the stuff that's going on, I like to talk to people that's been 10 toes down in that world. Like we had Timothy, who was in the Iraq War and was telling us, you have to check that interview out. It was a dope interview. Him and the Honorable October. That was a dope interview, man. And he was in the Army, and he was telling us about the propaganda that was going on as far as the prisoner of war, the young lady that they said that they had captured or whatever, and come to find out that those people were helping her instead of not like what the news was trying to portray. So being in that position and deep in the game like that, under a general and so forth, what is your take on all of this, man?
You know, it sounds like, and I can tell you this, is when I first got deployed to the Gulf, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was there before majority of any troops landed because we had to set up a secure housing units that could secure that many thousands of soldiers that were going to come into country. So, and I'm just telling you this because not a lot of people know this part of it. We separated from our unit, so it was just 24 of us plus a platoon leader and a platoon sergeant, so it was 26 of us. A single MP is more armed than any other soldier in the Army. because you're carrying a bayonet, you're carrying your 9 or your 45. I had 45. You're carrying an M16. It may have or may not have a grenade launcher underneath.
Damn.
Somebody's carrying an M60. 3 of us in a squad of 10 are carrying, M60 machine guns. And then we also have what's some things called automatic grenade launchers. And this was in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. So a platoon of 24 of us can cover more ground than like 100 infantry. But what they didn't realize is they sent the wrong ammo with us. So we had to fake it for the first 4 days. We were only guarding soldiers with 45s. Our M16 ammo was different. Our M60 ammos were different. And our 203 rounds were different, but they gave us smoke. They thought they gave us, HE and all that. So
I bet that was a terrifying.
It made you almost, we have switching uniforms and flipping looks and everything, and it was scary as hell.
Did you see any combat?
I'm sorry?
Did you see any combat besides torturing people?
Oh man. I was awarded the Bronze Star with 2 bronze devices.
Okay. Let's get that a round of applause.
3rd or 4th time.
All righty.
And that was because I took out, the first time the night of the Gulf War, the ground war, after the aerial assault, we had to breach what we call the berm, which is a big sand pile that they had oil and all that. So what they do is we go up, look for enemy snipers, blah, 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 and then they set these charges. We come back, protect the guys at the charge, and boom, and we go in. And that was when the ground war started. So we took the first prisoners of war. And as they're coming in, a lot of them are surrendering because, whatever. I spoke a little Arabic. I took Arabic before I went over. So I was able to, because it was, my barber was from somewhere in Africa, and he spoke Arabic. And I thought, I had never knew this because, I grew up in West Virginia. Hell, I didn't know Black people existed sometimes, but, you know what I mean by Africa. I'm Africans and not knowing anything other than the fields and shit. So it made me learn a little bit. So I did learn a little bit of Arabic and, self-taught stuff. And at the time, Public Enemy and Run DMC, but to me, it was Ice Cube and NWA until I got to combat. I had to mellow it down to like LL and Father MC. Y'all don't get that.
That's cool. And we glad you came up out of that, man. But you got some other stuff to deepen. You're not answering the question about the world.
Okay, but what I'm saying is everybody looks at the back. Here's what happens. So I'm in the we got POW. It's called a temporary cage. We're putting up this wire because these guys are coming in. I got to take a piss. So I want to piss outside the wire. Found out I was in a minefield.
Wow.
When I looked down, I thought it was a goat. It was a human being. But it was a POW, as a prisoner, but he was outside the wire. That's how many dead bodies he wasn't dead. So I did CPR, resuscitated him, drug him on my back through the wire, looked out there, and there was 2 more. So went back out, got them, and brought them back in. We revived them in front of other soldiers. We got condemned a little bit, but no, they looked at it. Everybody in my platoon, they supported, and I guess they got a congressional investigation. They knocked it down to a Bronze Star. So I didn't have to put my hands on those guys. But I did work POW camps where we put hands, not in a torturous way, but we put hands on Republican Guard to separate them from killing other Iraqis, because the stories they told, I mean, they were worse than anything I'd ever heard of.
So I'm guessing what I'm getting at is this. Most of the people that, I ain't gonna say most, but a lot of folks that I talk to that's been in the armed services and so forth, like yourself, say they will never go back, and they see what our government and what it is for what it is. That's where I'm getting at. They see for what it is, smoke and mirrors. So I know you're a good guy, and you keep saying the words honorable, and you go save POWs and give them resuscitations instead of letting them blow up on the minefield. You go ahead and do your thing, which is very commendable.
After 4 years in the military, not even 4, I came, I used my lead. I had to get out. I saw the way we managed our country.
That's where I'm getting at, sir.
Not even just in race, but the way they dealt with whole continents of why are we supporting this mission?
Yes.
And then I became a little vocal. So I learned EEO. And I got out after that. I got out of the Army and I went to work in I worked in private, one of them home health aid things for like 6 months. I said, I can't do this no more. This is gonna drive me crazy. So my uncle was like, listen, I can get you into the jail. But you know what? It's the first regional jail in the state of West Virginia. He said, but you're going to get in because you got military and blah, blah, blah. So I go and do this interview. I was the only Black person there. So I was the first Black hire in the state of West Virginia regional jail system. There was no Black inmates. So but the biggest thing was I knew EEO. And I knew that, on paper, I'm not, but you know what, man? I was more received there than I was when we opened up the second joint where all the Black staff was, because they had already been abused. These people, we were denying them jobs because they were abusive.
So what you're saying is you jumped right out the fire pan into the fire. Into the fire. Nadia, what was you going to say?
Here's the thing. I never believed in mistreating anybody.
Okay. Hold that thought. Go ahead, Nadia. What was you going to say?
I just don't believe I never believed in mistreating people. I always believed that you're not the authority to render some kind of discipline after the discipline's been rendered. And that's the only way you can look at it. Plus, I was Black, and I knew that you're going to be looked at 10 times more than you would have been if you was a white officer. Now, when I was in Fort Carson, a couple of times, me and another Black officer, we would, man, let's go out and DUI all the white dudes tonight. Yeah, let's go, And sometimes you see that, but we do that once in a while. It's like, man, because every time we turn around,
let's get out a round of applause because they do us like that. I didn't think Negroes did that in the.
What you did is you just stood out certain bars. You knew that who coming out of it,
Hey.
And
so
I'm sorry.
Okay. So are you saying that when the government is doing their plans or agendas or whatever, you're oblivious to the actual plan and you're used as a pawn?
You could say that at 18, 19, or new into if you don't know, now certain people like Colin Powell, I liked him, but I know he knew. People that have been entrenched, I didn't know until to what happened to me working for the Bureau of Prisons. When I went to Bureau of Prisons, I went to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, which is a high security penitentiary. And I got hired in a new program for violent offenders inside called the Code Program. And basically, we're going to work on behavioral modifications, cognitive restructure, blah, blah. But you still got to go to law enforcement academy. So this new program and this whole psych program was made up of like 10 psychologists and therapists. The leader of all that was a regional psych, and he was Black. The one that was in charge of the drug part of the program up in the regional office was Black. So, and we had a female director that was a former bureau psychologist. So she backed these programs. And when they hired us, they specifically, they wanted people that had, I like I said, I had a D average, but after I got out of the military, I went to, HBCU, West Virginia State, and then I did some education, stayed there, got my 40, and got my master's.
So this was a minority program?
This is, no. This was if you are a high security offender in a high security institution, and you felt as an individual you wanted some kind of behavioral modification or cognitive restructuring, but it was a much more of a lure than just coming to the site program. We had air conditioning more so than the other units. We had individual toilet areas and stalls and stuff like that, and it was more of a cleaner unit, and as much as we could do, because our officers were on the unit too. So
go ahead.
That led to getting some really, like I had Nader Ayat. He was the original Trade Center bomber. I had John Gotti Jr. All these guys joined these programs because, one, somebody's going to keep an eye on you a lot more so than, going into general pop. But they stood in general pop too. So.
Okay, one more thing. You just said about the 9/11 incident with new evidence saying that it wasn't that attack. Are you still standing next to them, by them, and everything in support of what your mission was and how they used y'all for that mission?
Well, here's the thing. When 9/11 occurred, I was the mental health therapist I was a mental health therapist in Lewisburg. The original World Trade Center bomb was in a U-Haul van so many years prior to that. If
Timothy, what was his name? Timothy something?
No. They, the leaders of ISIS, the Sheikh, Nader Ayat, and these other guys, they put a bomb underneath the World Trade Center in a U-Haul. And it blew up, but so many couple people died. I know somebody else in here over 50.
Yeah.
Okay. So the designer of that, the engineer of that was Nader. I was his therapist. And we also had the Sheikh. And the reason I say that is when the 9/11 occurred, he's on what they call a 2-hour watch. Every 2 hours, no matter what, he has to be seen, heard from, whatever, for the rest of his time. Well, anyways, I can identify him. So we found him, locked him down, locked down the other one. They knew that it was going to happen.
Who knew it was going to happen?
What's that?
Who knew it was going to happen? Who was them?
No. The original bombers. Somehow they communicated when this was going to happen. Those two were in our joint at Lewisburg.
Oh.
That evening, they took them out, one out in Black Hawk, and then the other. I lived on that compound too, so Black Hawks came in and got it.
Okay, so that was, I don't know why I keep saying Timothy McVeigh. That's Oklahoma, wasn't it?
That's Oklahoma City bomb.
Okay, yeah.
Daycare and all that junk.
Okay.
Yeah, but going back to your question, I wouldn't put it past any aspect of any government agency to do after what I've seen. If you would have told me this 30, I'm looking at, I got to support my family. I got a wife of now 31 years. I got a 28-year-old. I got a 21-year-old. And I grew up with nothing. So I'm going to make sure I'm not going to sell nobody out. I'm still going to be involved in, the Black community more so than I ever was when I was growing up, whether it been at church or whether it been at teaching. I coached tennis at the Black program that I was in after I got out of the military. But my biggest thing was when I joined Lewisburg in the government, they gave me a waiver to go to EEO investigator and counselor's position or collateral job. And when I took the position, it was a result of staff on staff type issue. And I didn't hold back. This is what's the problem. But I didn't have my year in the Bureau, so I was nowhere near secure. But the person that gave me the job said, 100%, you don't have to worry about it. When that happened, a lot of good changes. They developed a Northeast Regional Task Force of Minority Recruitment Diversity. So the first thing we did was hit every HBCU on the East Coast. And we gave the exception of no requirements for a specific job title. So if you had a 4-year degree in physical education, that's the equivalent of like a 4-year degree in social work, because you're going to learn law enforcement no matter what. So they allowed that. We allowed, there's another prison right up the street, another federal compound called Allenwood. But their problem in recruiting was they said, we don't have housing like y'all do, because minorities ain't gonna just live in the community. Right. So we got permission and we opened up the housing so that more minorities could come, and they came. And then we sent 3 Puerto Rican staff down to Puerto Rico and did the same, and we got 5. They took 3, we got 2.
Well, it seems like the way you was brought up, your schooling, your education, you're a different breed, and that's what makes you the person that you are today. We didn't get any really juicy stuff from you like we did with Timothy.
I can tell you some juicy stuff.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what we wanted, because next week we going into.
I use a dumpster dive, so for pop cans and stuff, so I can. But getting to Congressman named Tim Ryan, he ran for president a couple years ago. The Bureau of Prisons ordered me to go to a place that they knew I couldn't live in Oklahoma somewhere. I refused. The day that I was forced to go, Tim Ryan called the Bureau of Prisons and got me negotiated from this private oversight job back into a federal facility. I blew the whistle on private prisons. They don't have many more private prisons left, do we? Not many people know that.
They don't. Why is it coming out with?
I was a contract oversight technical rep for the Bureau also, meaning I'm the person of expertise that has to be on site at that federal facility or that private facility, because there's federal inmates there. Okay. So they sent me to Youngstown for 10 years. And it was rated #1 facility for private after I'd been there for 10 years.
So private is really trash, isn't it? Is it worse than federal prison?
Oh yeah, it's much worse, but we was able to use we weren't dirty because there's so much dirt, but that private joint, what I realized when I was doing the numbers is that it wasn't a financial gain for the government. The gain was who was in investors of those private prisons. And at one point we had 21 private prisons where inmates were going to, yet the Bureau of Prisons was only 75% occupied. Wow. So who was getting the money? We had an inmate that was locked up. There was a judge that was getting $1,000 for every kid that he sent to a juvenile private facility. He became an inmate.
Dang, it is.
And the inmates delivered him directly to me. We moved him. But those guys don't go to high security joints. And so I would write these letters, or I became an EEO rep. And after I became an EEO rep, they trying to cut the head off. And I fought, I won, I didn't lose any of the EEO cases. I did.
Let's give you a round of applause for that, man. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Bringing change. And I can tell, and like I said in your post, that's what made me want to have you on the show and dig deeper into it. Man, I thank you for coming to the show today, man. We're going to have to do a part 2.
I'm sorry. I took your time up probably, but you
No,
know,
it was good because I learned a lot.
I went back and I worked with during that whole time I was working as a child psychotherapist in the black community,
Yeah,
PA.
that's positive.
And then I left. Now I'm back and forth in Colombia, South America. And Cartagena got a house there, so I'm working with the ghetto, in the worst barrios you ever been. We giving out tablets and
that's
books,
what I'm talking
like
about.
That.
That's what I'm talking
Y'all
about.
got to get down there. That's the origination. That's the first free black 31 slaves revolted and won the place. So
yeah, we definitely gonna have to get that on there. See, we didn't valuable information. So you wasn't.
So many black people are moving down the Caribbeans. Is this and a third of the price you paying here?
That's what's up. And that's why we was trying. We was being funny, but we was being serious because it's a lot going on. And like I said, we bringing Nadia in to debunk and bring attention to what's going on. So those questions and everything that was asked is basically we just trying to get to the bottom of stuff, and we wanted to see how you did this and why you did this and what made you do this and why you want to take an interest in these folks. And we learned a lot, man. You've been around the block. But like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show. We're going to do it again. We gonna get up on out of here, man. Like I said, let's give everyone a round of applause. Dope show. Nadia, dope. Miss Nikki, baby, nope, dope. Well, so we out of here. We gonna do like we do and say what we say every Wednesday. Don't be stuck on stupid, and relaxed on dumb. See y'all next Wednesday.
Let's go.
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
GRIZZBIZ, my 2 cents.